Hey, we're back. We're back on the couch. I have my really good friend Ash here with me. Hello, Ash.
Hi.
And I thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
I feel like we never really get to hang out, even though we go to the same gym. I live down the street.
Yeah, we just found out it's like 900 meters away, and I've maybe seen you like 3 times in the last couple years.
But we're like besties, you know, even though we don't hang out that much. What's new? What's been going on with you? You've been getting back into tennis?
Yeah, so took on the challenge that we got going on at our gym at Studio.
Yeah.
And so from that, I actually lost 10 pounds and I'm down 5% body fat in like 6 weeks.
Oh, amazing.
And that was like never the case. Like I've never really like been great with my diet.
Yeah.
But this year it was so funny. So we had the same challenge last year, right?
Yeah.
And last year I was like gunning to win $10,000.
Right.
And so I literally cut everything out of my diet.
So for those who don't know what this challenge is,
Yeah.
our gym put on a transformation challenge, 60 days, grand prize, $10,000. So money is a huge motivation for a lot of people. And the transformation can be measured in a couple different ways. Overall weight loss, body fat percentage loss, muscle mass gained, etc., etc. So it's not just, you know, who can lose the most weight, because for me, I'm probably not going to lose very much weight.
Nope.
I'm already quite small. But my body can change in a lot of other ways.
Yeah.
Whereas for other people, their body fat and their weight's going to come down.
Right.
And their body's going to drastically change. So they do this every year. It's always a huge incentive for people to come and try out the gym, and you can participate in CrossFit, you can do personal training, you can really do all sorts of things. Really.
Yeah. Whatever you want. Whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
So last year when I like cut out absolutely everything out of my diet, I was like miserable. Like I was miserable. And just to give you an idea, like my coworkers, I told them I'm doing this challenge again this year, and they were kind of like, oh, okay. And I was like, what's with that look? And they're like, oh, well, you weren't super excited about it last year. And I was like, what do you mean not like super excited? They're like, can we be honest with you? I was like, yeah, sure. They're like, you were like really upset and angry last year during this challenge. And I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh. So, you know, I mean, it was really great. I mean, to actually just hear that from them.
Yeah.
And I saw that whatever I was doing, like I was actually miserable in doing it for the sake of just like trying to win the $10,000. And that sucked.
Yeah.
And so this year, I switched it up and I literally just said something as simple as, I'm going to stop eating when I'm full.
Yeah.
And I'm going to eat when I'm hungry.
Right.
And just something as simple as that, I've like ended up losing like 10 pounds and 5% body fat.
And I will say, out of like the 3 times this year I've seen you, you are a lot happier. Like you're not irritable. You're not hating life. Like you're going to the gym and you're enjoying it. The times that we actually do work out together, you do look like you're enjoying it, and it's not just I'm doing this for the sake of something. Like you're actually there, and it's somewhere you want to be.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we're out having a couple of drinks, or we're out having dinner, you know, it's not I can't have that, and now you're miserable because you can't have it. It's like, well, I can eat a little bit of it, and then when I'm full, like, we're done, type thing, right? And I think that's the biggest mindset for a lot of people, where they view kind of food and they view transformations, however they may be, as I gotta cut out everything and go to the absolute extreme to get the result. But if you go to that extreme place and you're not actually doing it for the enjoyment of, I want to be healthier, or I want to feel better about myself, or, you know, you're doing it for future self and not just present self.
Yeah.
That restriction makes us really irritable and miserable. And I don't really think that's, in my opinion, I don't think that's the best way to be.
Yeah.
Because then you're just kind of sad.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, and the thing I didn't see, which my coworkers were so great to point out, was just actually like how it affects other people around me,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even though like I was there still losing the weight last year, it's like, is it really worth it if everyone around me is like, whoa, like we're gonna just leave this guy alone? And then at the end of the day, it's like, sure, I'm like 15 pounds like lighter, but more miserable. So it's like, what's the point?
It bleeds into like everything else that you do too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're just like, I don't want to get up today. Like I have to weigh out all my food. I can't eat
Yeah.
this. I can't eat that. But then you see everyone else around you. They're just like, hey, like, do you want to go do this? I can't.
Right. Yeah, it was so many times I actually couldn't see people, and it's like I would eat at home all the time, like alone or with my fiance, and
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, and I really actually missed like seeing people and hanging out, and it's like obviously food is just such a big part of that.
Yeah. Like everything that's social, I found, revolves around food in some fashion or form.
Right.
You know, when people are just like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, like, let's catch up, let's go grab a beer, or like, let's go grab a coffee, or let's go grab something to eat, like, let's go grab brunch. It always revolves around food or beverage of some sort. And if you're not able to be a bit more relaxed about it and say, okay, if I would really like cake, I love cake. I love cake. I'm not going to eat the whole cake.
Red velvet?
Yes.
Ooh, cream cheese icing.
Yes.
Yes. Oh.
Right? But you're not going to like,
Yeah.
you're not going to eat the whole thing. You're going to say, you know what, I can eat a small slice of it.
Yeah.
And not feel like I'm depriving myself of things that make me happy. But I'm also not going to go ham and eat the whole thing. Could you imagine? You just like, if there was a cake in front of our face right now,
Yeah.
we'd be going down.
Probably. Yeah. And since there isn't, we got beer instead.
We got beer instead, which is fine, which is also good.
Yeah.
You know, but I think I've been in that situation before where it's like, we got goals.
Yeah.
How do we reach those goals? You cut out everything and you restrict it down and you're just like, hey, I'm going to work out. When I was a varsity athlete, we do 2-a-days.
Yeah.
It's either you're on field in the gym, on field twice in the gym, video session, on field in the gym.
Yeah.
Even when I played provincial rugby, you know, you get out of it what you put in, and I don't know about you, I'm very intrinsically motivated. So I work out at 6:15 every day. And
I know this.
It is hard to get out of bed at 5:30. Like some mornings I walk in the gym and it'll be Gabe and me and Matt, and we just kind of like, the four of us just like look at one another, we're like, the struggle was so real this morning.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to go, but I also don't want to get razzed by the other three if I don't go. So that's been really good.
Mm-hmm.
The four of us are, you know, like, we've all found a time that works within our schedules.
Yeah.
That we go, and we kind of playfully razz one another if we don't go. And it's the fear of being razzed half the time where it's just like, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
But I'm going to get out of bed, I'm going to go to the gym, because I do not want the other three guys to be like, where were you this morning? You know, sometimes it's legitimate and you just can't make it at that time. If you're meeting at like 8 a.m., probably not going to work out at 6:15, you might not make it. Or if you worked like really late the night before.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we're usually like pretty lenient when it comes to like things like that. But if it's just like, I'm just tired and I can't make it this morning.
You're hearing about it.
You're going to get razzed. 100%. And it's great.
Keeps you coming.
It's such a motivator, right? But like, what motivates you? To like, besides working on your future health, like what motivates you to like get to the gym every day and make an conscious effort to eat better and, you know, all those things?
It's a great question. I think it's like, it's really for other people, actually. Like for me, it's like you said, like if it was about like me like wanting to go for myself, like I think I would quit pretty early, because it would be like, I'm tired, I got this to do, I got work, I got whatever. But even like growing up and like playing tennis, like the most fulfilling times I had playing tennis was when I was part of the tennis team, right, at a UBC, and it was like I would train, I would practice. It was like so I could help support my teammates.
Right.
And even now, it's like for CrossFit, right? Like we have our little group at 4:30 that goes all the time.
Yeah.
And it's like I just want to be there to support them.
Yeah.
Like I want to see their wins, right? When they do stuff that they've never been able to do. And it's just like, and I want to be there to like support them when like they're going through stuff, and then it's like kind of like they do the same for me. Mm-hmm. And so just being there and like kind of doing it for them, I find that my own fitness just falls in place.
Right.
Right? Like by supporting and pushing them, like not knowing they push me back, and then it's like I get better, they get better, and it like all kind of works out.
Yeah. It's such a strange phenomenon, because you're just like, we're really just working out at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just working on your own fitness, and you're working on being stronger.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically. You're kind of pushing yourself to the limits that you didn't think that you could go to.
Yeah, and it's like it's funny because if you actually just told like someone like off the side of the street, right? And just said, hey, you know, it's like, do you want to go do this thing for an hour that's like really hard and really difficult, and it's going to feel like a struggle? And people be like, no, like, I'm good, thanks.
It's like those hills that we're going to go to.
Oh.
That shit sucks. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it because we know that it's good for us.
I like that it's on video now. So it's like...
You heard this here first. Ash and I are going to go run hills. It's gonna suck, but you know what? We're gonna be doing it together though. And I find that a lot of times, just being able to have even one other person that helps you along, that says, hey, you know what? Like, I'm struggling there with you.
Yeah.
Is the difference between you wanting to do it and not wanting to do it.
Yeah. I it's so good. I think what you're saying, because it's like, had I not like said that to you today about the hill, like because I always like, I've been thinking about like running this giant hill for like 3 years. And like one of the coaches at our gym like used to live across the street from me, and he would go and do those hills, and I talked to him. I never actually mentioned it to him. I was like, oh, do you run these hills? And he's like, oh yeah, every once in a while. I was like, oh, that's cool. And just like, and that's it, right? But it's like the moment it's like I brought it up and I started talking about it, right? Immediately it's like there's like some support, someone's gonna help me, or it's gonna happen. But it's so funny. It's like, but it's like you don't say anything, right? And then it's like it just doesn't happen.
Well, like Matt and I, for example, like, you know, he's made so many strides since he's joined our gym.
Oh my god, yes.
Amazing. Like I love that guy. He should totally come on with us one day. But, you know, he's made such a huge effort, and I think part of it is he's kind of like me, where it's like, I don't want to get razzed by the guys when I don't go this morning. Mm-hmm. So he comes, and him and I were just like, hey, like by June, like we're gonna get this.
Yeah. And
last year we're just like, hey, like by the end of the year, like we're gonna be able to do like kipping pulls. We can do them now.
Yeah.
Totem bars, we can do them now.
Nice.
During 18.2, he was like, guys, I just got totem bars like last week. Or like the week before, or something like ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna RX this workout, because he's like, I can do this now.
Yeah.
And we're just like, you know what? Even if you can only do like 2 at a time, jump down, shake it out, jump back up.
Yeah.
That's a win, because you couldn't do this before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of having training partners. And that's the beauty of having someone else that's either same level as you, maybe a little bit better, or like they're really good at something and you're not great at it, but they're good at, like, they're not so good at something else that you're really good at. You kind of like push one another and you help one another get to that common goal. And that's been really great. And so having like, you know, Gabe and Matt and Drew for me in the mornings, those guys are all infinitely stronger than I am, just naturally. But what the nice thing about it is that we're always constantly pushing one another to be better. And we're the crazy ones that will work out after the workout's done.
Right, I've heard about these.
Every day we do it. And sometimes we're just like, you know what, we're just going to do small accessory work today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like little things where it's like, this is gonna suck. It'll be over in like 12 minutes, but it's gonna suck.
Mm.
But we're suffering together. Or sometimes we're just like, you know what, like, let's just, Gabe and I really like to squat. And Drew was like, the two of you are gonna like murder my knees.
Yeah.
And we're just, you know, and then that's the thing, like, but we're always pushing one another. Which I think is really great. So having training partners, I think, is super important. But we're gonna do the hills. It's here on camera.
It's really funny. So this year, I'm getting married this year in like September, right? Thank you. And it's all the stuff going on with the wedding, and something, I don't know what it was, right? Something about this year, I just decided, like, you know, it's like when people get married, it's like this idea, it's like, oh, I'm gonna settle down, I'm gonna, right? It's like, and it's always, for me, it always sounds like people are like, oh, I'm winding down.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm winding down now,
Yeah.
I'm settling down, right? And I don't know what it was, but it's like, I thought about that, and I was like, F that this year. So one of the things I decided to do was actually get back into playing tennis, like, competitively. And I used to play throughout my university, and then when I started doing CrossFit 4 years ago, I literally stopped picking up a tennis racket. So it's like I just transitioned into doing CrossFit full time.
Yeah.
And probably in the last 4 years, I've picked up a racket maybe like 5 times, which is crazy.
That's like an average of like once a year.
Yeah. It's like, imagine you actually just started like playing rugby like once a year. Like you played a little skirmish game.
I don't think I could do it.
It's crazy, right? So imagine now, it's like I went back and then I started playing like for the last 2 weeks, and what was so surprising is so 2 things. So one, I hadn't played since I've been doing CrossFit. Okay. So now when I do anything, it was so much stronger. So I would like swing a racket and it's like at my whatever, I'd serve at my 70%, and before it used to be like 110 kilometers, right?
Okay.
Like my serve, and then now it's like 140. It's like, whoa, and it's like I'm not actually trying any harder, but it's like I'm just that much stronger.
Yeah.
The other funny thing that happened is the last time I played tennis, really, like my body was really like 23, 24 years old. Okay. So I step on the court, my brain still thinks I'm like 24. Right. But my body does not move like 24. No. And so it's like you would see things and be like, oh, I can totally run there. And then it's like, oh wow, my legs aren't moving that fast anymore. And it's like a slow motion, like, of me like being like, wow, I'm really not getting there, and I think I'm moving quick. Yeah. And so the reason I'm like getting back into it, and it's just, in this year I'm just committing to ridiculous things for sport. Yeah. Just for fun. Yeah. Like really like putting the fun back into sports, and it's like I'm doing the sun run in 3 weeks. Yeah. And I haven't run more than like 1K in like a few years. Yeah. But I guess like my sense of like myself and just like of like doing the stuff in general is I'm just so excited. Yeah. Like I don't know how exactly I'm gonna run 10K, but somehow I will run 10K. Yeah. And I don't know how I'm gonna do like playing tournaments and coming back, and you know, and then you still deal with all the stuff with people like, oh, are you sure you want to play? Yeah. Like, oh, you had such a good run or whatever before, and it's like to actually come back. There's actually a really awesome story about a tennis player from BC. Her name's Rebecca Marino. Okay. And she grew up in BC and played, and she actually made top 15 in the world for women. Yeah. Right? And she dropped out of playing professionally out of depression. It was actually like she experienced like a ton of bullying on social media and things like that, and she just literally like couldn't handle it, and she like kind of dropped out, and for 3-4 years no one heard anything from her, and actually just a month ago she started to play tennis again.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she actually won like a $100,000 professional tournament.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so she's actually going back to start playing professionally after like all that happened. And what was so inspiring to me about that is like in women's tennis, it's like you peak at 23, 22.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like by the time you're 25, it's like, hey, you should think about retiring, right? Because
Yeah.
you're too old now.
Yeah.
And for her to like come back at like whatever, I think she's like 26 or something.
Yeah.
And actually like do that is like so cool, and it just like made me think about like, well, why not? Like, why not me? Not necessarily professionally, but why just not just love it and do what you used to really love?
And I think that's the biggest takeaway. I think that's the biggest key is being able to inject the passion and the love back into things that you want to do. Because a lot of times, you know, athletes will leave sport for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways to still be involved in it, just out of pure passion and pure love.
Mm-hmm.
I've been extremely fortunate to work in rugby as high up as I do.
Yeah.
I've been very fortunate to be able to play up as high as I have.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that I would have continued, and I've definitely, I am not a stranger to struggling with mental health issues. I wrote an article about it. It's hard, you know, and especially in a high performance sport.
Yes.
A lot of sporting organizations will be like, we don't have either the resources or the time to deal with that. So they just kind of like sweep it off to the side, and a lot of athletes will use training as a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
It's something that you can focus all your energy into, so you don't have time to think about all the other things. But then when you're not in that environment anymore, you now have all the time in the world to think about those things that you've basically just shoved in the closet for so long.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of us really struggle.
Yeah.
I know in rugby there was a guy that played for Australia. He played in the last World Cup and the World Cup before that. Brilliant rugby player. I think he was 34 or 35. And he had struggled for years and years and years with mental health. And what he had done was he had used sport, high performance sport, as a coping mechanism. When he retired from international rugby and he went back to his quote unquote civilian life, you know, back to his like professional profession, he was finding it really hard to cope, and he ended up committing suicide when he was 34. And it's such a sad thing that like only at that point do large national bodies and sporting organizations really look at that issue and say, you know what, this is something that plagues all of our athletes, or can plague all of our athletes at any level. Maybe there is an opportunity for us to offer more support. You know? And I think now with the advent of just more reachability with technology, social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all of those things compound a lot of those issues.
Right.
Like you were saying with the girl from tennis. You know, if you get bullied and harassed on social media all the time, people don't think about that, but that really wears on you. When you read negative comments and you get bullied and that's all you see in your feed, notifications, everything, like 24 hours a day, every day, all the time, that really wears on you.
I think it's like, I think even regardless of like what sport it is or like the different coaching bodies, it's, I mean, my experience through tennis was so many of the parents and like everyone around the athlete make it about like your self-worth is determined by your outcome, like when you play, right? You win, awesome, you're the best, we love you. You lose, oh, how could you F up? Like, we put so much money into this. And it's like, I can't imagine like trying to live a life and trying to, even as an athlete, trying to separate the two when no one else around you has it separated. It's like,
it's all together.
It's all together. It's like winning is good, losing is bad, and I don't know where, I mean, I don't see coaches providing athletes with the tools to actually be able to just distinguish the two.
I try really hard with my athletes. So I work right now and high performance in the age grade categories. So these are athletes that are under 20. They're at the points in their lives where they're starting to develop kind of their own personalities or their own identities, and they're really starting to develop physically as high performance athletes. But they're not quite at the mental development of an adult.
Right.
They're still kind of like figuring that out. They're still kind of like figuring out what their identity is, what the sport means to them, how much they want to dedicate their time to it, how far they're going to go, things like that. And they're at a point in their lives where they have a lot of outside influences. Parents are still a very strong influence, their peers. It is amazing how impressionable 16 to 18-year-olds are.
Yeah.
Especially within their peer group.
Yeah.
It's a great age of athletes to work with because they're starting to uptrend to their physical, like their peak physical performance.
Right.
They haven't quite hit it yet for some of them, but they're definitely trending upwards. They're not on the downslope yet.
Right.
But what's really interesting for me is I try really hard to instill upon the athletes that I work with the notion and the idea of continual development. If we lose matches, everyone wants to win all the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you're probably not going to win all the time.
Right.
But what can you learn out of the losses that you have?
Right.
You can learn so much out of those losses.
Yeah.
Emotionally, how to deal with it. Physically, how to deal with it. How to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Pick apart the things that you're not quite as good at.
Yeah.
Collectively as a team and as an individual athlete. And figure out ways to work on it. I make myself available to my athletes 24 hours a day. That may or may not be good.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they will berate you all night, all day.
Yeah.
But I want to give them a environment where it's a safe environment.
Yeah.
To talk to me about whatever it is that's bothering them. I want them to feel supported. And I want them to have a conducive training environment where as long as you are continuing to improve and you can learn from the mistakes you've made and you can learn from the losses, that to me is success.
Right.
It's not just about winning, because sometimes when we're winning all the time, we get really complacent because we're just like, well, like what we're doing right now is great.
Yeah.
We don't need to change it. We don't need to adapt anything. We don't need to be better.
Right.
But it's only in adverse situations, like if we've lost, things like that, or if it's a game that where we're like, we should have won.
Yeah.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
Those, I think, are the opportunities for us to really learn. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think it's really funny to bring it like full circle. It's like the culture and the community you create around you, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, and it sounds like, based on the culture and the community you created with your team, right? Like, it's, a loss is more taken as, okay, let's look at where we need to go to work, right? In like performing better versus like, oh man, I suck, like I'm bad at this, I should quit, whatever. Yeah. And it's just like, and it's almost like no different than you showing up to your 6:15 every morning, right? It's just kind of like, it's rather than, oh, it's like the sucks, I shouldn't show up. It's like more like, hey, come on, like we want to see you here this morning. Yeah. And it's like showing up every day is like, is the first accomplishment of the day. Absolutely.
And it's, when I was on national tour last year, one of my mottos for our team was, this is a judgment-free zone.
Yeah.
And a lot of the girls were like, what do you mean by that? I said, if you happen to make a mistake on the field, it is not your teammates' jobs to be like, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like why'd you do that?
Yeah.
It is our jobs to be like, you know what? That's okay. We move forward.
Yeah.
It's our jobs as teammates to pick one another up.
Yeah.
And move forward. Rugby is very much a team sport.
Yeah.
You cannot be successful if you don't move as one unit.
Yeah.
And you don't work together as one cohesive unit. So if someone happens to miss a tackle, they knock a ball on.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Right.
But if you make them feel bad about it, that's when everything else starts to go down. But if you're just like, you know what, shake that off.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. And as long as you're bringing and cultivating that positive energy, we're all going to move forward as a unit. And then what do we take out of that? when we do video analysis sessions afterwards, we say, how could we have improved this? How can we ensure that, like, you know, we don't do that again? Do we run sharper lines? Do we have our hands up earlier? Do we try to, like, not catch it in the chest and catch it out earlier? We work on better grip. We work on better technical skill.
Yeah.
But we don't harper on, this is a mistake. It's like, great, this is something that happened that wasn't ideal.
Right.
But how can we learn from it and move forward?
And it sounds like it's like that wouldn't be possible unless you had, like, the support, which is there in the first place. Which is, I think, I mean, just goes to show, like, what a difference it makes that as an athlete or as just even a person that you're supported. Yeah. Whether it's by your friends, your family, whoever.
100%.
And that you're free to screw up, because I can't imagine, like, there is a high performance athlete or even just an athlete out there who exists who has not effed up before. Yeah. Right? It's I mean, people, like, you know, my friends who don't do CrossFit or whatever, like, ask me, they're like, well, like, why do you do it? Like, it's unsafe. And everyone has, like, some ideas, especially CrossFit, right, about it. 100%. But it's like, have I missed lifts? Have I, like hurt myself? Where it's like, yes, I have. But I had such a good group of people around me supporting me with how I could be better. Yeah. That actually now has me perform at the level I'm performing at. Yeah. And it's like I think it's impossible for me to have gotten to where I was without that. Yeah. I think in anything, really. Yeah. It's having strong support systems, and it's especially now that I've segued into competing in other things. Mm-hmm. Rugby is still a huge portion of my life. It's something that sucks up like 90% of my free time. Yeah. And I love it. Yeah. I love it. I would not trade it in for anything. Yeah. Being in the gym with you guys has been amazing. It's been really good, and it's a really good cross-training tool for me. Yeah. And it's also, again, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, you know, people are cheering you on. People are uplifting you. They're just, you know, they're helping you get to a place that you want to be. Mm-hmm. It's that positive encouragement. It's that positive mindset. It's that positive attitude cultivation. Yeah. It's not to say, oh, like, you missed this lift. I'm like, snatching is probably the weakest Olympic lift for me. Right. My rotator cuff is very loose. I have dislocated my shoulder playing rugby. I've ripped a tendon playing rugby. So while my shoulder is a lot stronger than it used to be, right, given injury past, my rotator cuff is still quite loose. So there's certain movements that are not very comfortable. I also compressed a disc in my lower back November of 2016. So this has been like a full year of injury management. Wow. And there's some days when it's just like, you know what, like, my body's feeling great. We're going to try to push a little bit further. Yeah. And then there's going to be days when it's just like, you know what, like, no, this is not worth it. I already wake up in the morning sometimes with my back just like really stiff. Yeah. And it's sore, and it's like, this is what my life is now. It's managing chronic pain. Yeah. Because I don't know, as much as I've been very diligent about injury management, I don't know if my back will ever be back at a place that it was pre-injury, where it's like 100% pain-free. I realistically just don't know. Yeah. So what do? Every day you mitigate the pain, and you mitigate things that you can do, and I think if you've competed in anything for long enough, you have a really good, like, mind-body connection. So let me ask you this, right? So why do you keep doing what you do, right? So people not in your position will be like, you know, this chick is crazy, right? Like, she's been doing rugby all these years. She's like pretty young, and now her, like, back, and she's like dealing with chronic pain. Like, why would you keep doing it? Why would I keep doing it? Yeah, because I love it. It's passion. That's what it boils down to. I've been playing rugby since I was 12. Yeah. So I have, without completely, like, making myself sound super old, I have been in the sport for over 20 years. Yeah. And that's a really long time for someone that's as young as I am. It's a really long time.
You know, but out of all that time, passion is what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Being smart about injury management is
Yeah.
what keeps me going. Being able to be in the gym and make my body stronger. Like, I will say, like, right now,
Yeah.
barring any back issues, I am a lot stronger now
Yeah.
than I was in my peak physical shape. So when I was playing the highest level rugby that I've ever played,
Yeah.
I probably weighed 15 to 20 pounds more,
Yeah.
and I was a lot more muscular and I was a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I was probably a lot stronger, and in the sense that, like, you know, like, my body could take the type of impact a
Right.
lot better because my body was a lot stronger.
Right.
But I've taken a lot of impact and I've gotten injured over the years.
Mm.
So now that I'm older, it's a matter of smart injury management. Very smart injury management. So because I know that my body does not rebound in the same way it did when it was 20
Yeah.
or 25. It just doesn't rebound as fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't heal quite as quickly.
Yeah.
So I have to be very smart about how I manage injuries. I have to be very smart about staying mobile,
Mm-hmm.
keeping my joints mobile, being able to sit in the bottom of a squat with a bar on my back needs to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the more comfortable that feels, everything else that translates out of that
Yeah.
will hurt a lot less. And my body's going to be able to take the impact a lot better. I'm still playing high-level 7s.
Yeah.
I don't take as much impact in 7s as I did in 15s. But it doesn't mean that I don't take any impact at all.
Mm.
But my body in my mid-30s versus my mid-20s doesn't heal in the same way.
Right.
So why do I keep doing this? Part of it is the motivation for me to go to the gym every day is to keep my body strong.
Mm.
It's to keep it mobile. It's to keep it active.
Yeah.
And it's not so much for my present self.
Yeah.
Yes, I enjoy a lot more things in my present self because I'm fitter and I'm stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also for my future self. It's to say, you know what, when I'm in my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, my 70s, I can still have a high quality of life. I can go for a hike and it's not going to hurt my knees.
Yeah.
I can go skiing and it's not going to hurt my back. It's not going to hurt my knees.
Yeah.
I can go for a casual run if I want to and I'm not going to hate it.
Yeah.
I can travel and do things that I want to do and it not be a hindrance to, like, my life. That's why I do it. A lot of people are just like, your schedule is insane. And it's crazy. Like, why do you do this? And I said, that's why I do it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's also the cultivation of my future self having the same quality of life that I have now.
Yeah. And it's so good, right? Like, I mean, I don't know who's going to watch this, right? Athletes, non-athletes, I don't know.
Who
right?
knows?
But it's, but I mean, it's so great because one of the thing I hear really, it's like you're out chasing, like, whatever, like, your dreams, right? Yeah. And it's like, I can hear how excited and how fulfilled you are about that rather than just, like, being resigned to, like, oh, I'm too old, I can't do this, I should, like, you know, stop or whatever. And really it's like, man, it's like, what if everyone had that, right? Like, what if everyone actually, like, lived like, wow, like, I'm gonna try for this thing that I really love.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know so many people who I just say, hey, you should come out and try our whatever CrossFit Foundations, right?
Sure.
And it's just like the first thought is, oh, I can't do that.
It's too hard.
It's too hard, right?
Yeah.
And it's and what's so great about what you're sharing is just like you're just really like living the life that you want.
Yeah.
And to other people, it sounds like insane and crazy, but it's like what I think is more insane and crazy. It's like living your life like you're just waiting to die.
Which is horrible.
Which is horrible. And it's not that. I think people like walk around and be like, okay, I'm just waiting, right? I'm counting down for another 60 years. But it's just like, for me, without really like pursuing like what I'm interested in, what I'm passionate about, and like, and having my body like be a representation of that.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I'm like you, I don't want to be like in a walker or with a heart attack at like 45.
No.
And just call it a life, right?
Like this is it.
There's so much more to do. There's so much more to just see out there.
100%.
And it's like I so see like rugby such an awesome avenue for that for you, and like CrossFit and like tennis is like that for an avenue for me.
Yeah.
But it's really to be able to just like you said, like man, I want to dominate like the single circuit at like 65 in tennis, right? It's like I'm turning pro at 65, not like now.
Yeah.
Like just hold out for the long game.
I'm gonna be watching you. I'm gonna be like, we talked about this on the couch.
Yeah.
In our 30s.
Yeah.
And like
starting training now, right?
He's gone pro at 65. You heard it here first, guys. But I think that's what it is. I think at the end of the day, regardless of what you're doing, what sport you're in, whether you're doing something just because you want to be fitter or you want to have a better quality of life, I don't think it matters what it is. As long as you're doing it with purposeful intent and you're doing it with passion.
Yeah.
That's the biggest difference. It's people will stop doing things if they feel like it's a chore.
Yeah.
Like you said last year when you were, doing this challenge, right? Things felt like a chore. It's like you're doing it because you're just like, hey, like I really want to win that $10,000, but like, do I actually want to be doing these things?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Right. And where I think your mindset is this year, it's kind of like, you know what? If I don't win, that's not the end of the world. But you're doing it for you right now, and you're doing it for your future self.
Yeah.
To say that this is the type of quality of life that I want to have.
Yeah.
And it's attainable, and you can do it within the means where you're not just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Yeah.
It becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a healthy choice. And it becomes a positive attribute in your life. Yeah. Right? I think that's it. Like, I think that's what it really boils down to. It's like if you really love something, you'll find a way to do it. You'll find a motivation within yourself to do it. Once it becomes a chore and it's just a monotonous grind, like, aimlessly go to the gym and you work out. Like, you aimlessly meal prep because you're just like, okay, it's good for me. But, like, if you don't actually love it, you don't find any enjoyment, it doesn't bring you any happiness of any sort, then you're not going to want to do it, right?
One of the great things I heard last week from like a call I was on for like some like a professional development course I'm in is they talked about like the thing that pulls people, or the thing I saw that pulls me forward in like the toughest times is my commitment. It's like, what is it that I'm actually like committed to in that moment? And I'm just so clear that no matter what happens with me, with my body, like what I'm really committed to is having a body that can do anything. Anything. Anytime. And it's like, and on a day-to-day basis, like, it's like I struggle with stuff on like a daily basis. Like the gym, I mean, our gym is like such a good example because it's like I walk in there and I'm actually scared and intimidated by how freaking fit people are. Right? And it's like one of the things I deal with is like I've been going there for 3.5 years now. And and sometimes people walk in after like, being there for like 3 months and they're like beating me in workouts. And it's just like, and for me, like sometimes it can be like really demoralizing that it's just like, wow, like, someone who like after 3 months of work beat the 3.5 years of work that I put in. But it's like in that moment, it's like I really have to think about, it's like, okay, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to quit?
No.
Right? Or it's just like,
hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I haven't yet. Right? But it's just like, I'm like, well, I really do care about having a body that can do anything. And then it's like, it's like I keep going. So it's like, it's not that it's always rosy, but it's like the thing that I really care about is more important than it's like trying to beat someone in a workout or have someone beat me. Like it's, And
I think that's the biggest takeaway, right? A lot of times, like, we're competing with ourselves. We're not competing with anybody else. Right? And it's kind of like, okay, if this is the type of quality of life that I want to have, the only person that prevents me from having it is myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, and it comes back down to I remember I was in the elevator with a bunch of my athletes that I've coached like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
We were at Nationals. They're all boys.
Yeah.
We're in this elevator and they're just like, hey coach, are you, you're not very happy that you're stuck in this elevator with us. I'm like, you know what, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. It's not a big deal. And they're just like, how old are you? I was just like, I'm not going to tell you, but you can take a guess. I got anywhere from 22 to 40. That's a really big range.
Mm-hmm.
Guy that thought I was 22, you're starting next week. Guy that thought I was 40, I'm sorry, you're being...
You're cut. You're cut, thanks.
You're benched. You're benched. You thought I was old. And then one of them asked me, they're just like, hey, I follow you on Instagram. I'm like, I see that.
Mm-hmm.
You work out all the time, every day, at like a stupid hour.
Mm-hmm.
What motivates you to go? I'm like, I don't want to look old. I don't want to look old and I don't want to feel old.
Mm.
And they just kind of like looked at me with like these like wide saucer eyes. And I'm like, one day you are going to understand what that means.
You'll get it. Yeah, one day.
You're going to understand what that means. You
Yeah.
might not get it right now because you're like 17 years old, 18 years old, and
you can eat whatever, drink whatever, and like
doesn't really matter.
Doesn't affect you.
But one day you
Yeah.
are gonna understand that like you do not want to feel like your body can't do things.
Yeah.
And that will be a motivation to you to stay healthy.
Yeah.
You know, and I was just like, yeah, that's basically it. I just don't want to look old and I don't want to feel that way. I want to be able to know that like if I go out and do things that my body is capable of doing it.
Yeah.
I want to still be able to, you know, if I coach my athletes, I want to be able to actually demonstrate things to them. The best thing I've ever heard, I was with USA Rugby last year.
Mm-hmm.
We were down in Baltimore. And I met this coach. Super nice guy. He's probably been in rugby for like 40 years or something. That guy was old. He's been around forever.
Yeah.
Nicest guy I've ever met.
So he has like, you have half of his experience now.
Half of his experience. He's a bit of a bigger guy though.
Yeah.
And he was telling me he was working with these varsity athletes.
Right.
And they're just like, Coach, why should we be running these if like you can't even do this?
Oh my gosh.
And he was just like, do you want to look like this? Like, do you want to be like me?
Yeah.
Knowing that like I can't go out and do that?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, then you're gonna go do this.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, you know, they're 20 to 21. They're at like peak physical shape.
Yeah.
And they're just like, fuck, I don't want to be like that guy.
Yeah.
So then they go off and do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, it motivates them because it's just like, if you don't want to be like this,
Yeah.
and that's not your MO, then
Yeah.
like continue doing what you're doing right now
Yeah.
to keep your body and your mind at a place where it can do things that you want it to do.
Yeah.
And I just looked at him and I just like I couldn't help but like kind of giggle at it.
Yeah,
he
for
goes,
sure.
He was just like somewhere along the way I like derailed, but to motivate the young athletes,
Right.
the guys that are like in their physical prime.
Right.
They're at the point in their lives when like packing on muscle is really easy.
Right.
Rebounding back from injury is pretty easy. Your metabolism is really high.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, sometimes you got to give them a reminder of like, it's not always going to be that way if you just like drop off and, you know, are sedentary and not living the life that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's totally easier said than done, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there's days when I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
There's days when I'm just like, I've struggled with mental health issues, and there was days, I remember, like, years past, where, like, just getting out of bed was hard. Let alone going to the gym or doing anything after. Just, like, getting up was hard. It's just like, I don't want to do this today.
Yeah.
I just want to stay in my, like, little hole.
Yeah.
And like not deal with it. But
Yeah.
and, you know, at some point it's kind of like, hey, if I want to live a certain way, and I want to be healthy, and I want to be a certain way, and I want to continue to be that way.
Yeah.
No one else is going to do this for me. You just have to do it yourself. And sometimes you need a swift kick in the ass to do it.
Yeah.
Either by like loved ones, family, teammates, coworkers, whomever.
Yeah.
Your doctor even.
Yeah.
One of my really good friends, he was, his doctor was like, you need to make some changes. Otherwise, like, you might not make it past 60. He's like, I'm not trying to scare you, but
wow.
The reality of the matter is you cannot continue on the trajectory you're on.
Right.
And not have long-term issues.
Mm.
And he was like, that was a big enough kick in the ass to, like, make changes. And sometimes that is the rude awakening that you need.
I have to say, I think, like, one thing that we've so totally lost over the last, like, 10 years is the value of a swift kick in the ass.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is, but it's like, even like friendships or whatever, everything is so much now about like being nice to people, being friendly, and it's just like, I don't know about you, but like the friendships that I hold the most dear are the people that are on my ass about like not showing up to the gym, about like not lifting what they know that I can lift.
Yeah.
It's like the person who's like, oh yeah, that's good, that's fine. They asked me to lift heavier, and I was like, no, I'm good. They're like, okay, good. Well, if you're not feeling it, that's fine. Like, no. It's like we, and I think it's really funny because the first person that comes to mind is like Theron, right? It's like
Theron is the best. He's gonna be on this show at some point.
Eventually.
We just have to find a time where him and I can like sit down and chat.
But it's funny, and it's like, and people sometimes just hate him, me included. But it really it's like, no, it's like he holds me to account for what he sees that I can do, and I think like the more friendships that I have like that, while they may not be like comfortable and nice friendships, I am so much better off as a human being myself.
100%.
Like having those types of friendships.
And sometimes you have to be pushed out of what's comfortable.
Yeah.
Because if you were to stay in your comfort bubble, you get complacent and you're just like, this is comfortable.
Yeah.
Why am I doing anything different? You have to be, and I made a video for my Monday Motivation series.
Mm-hmm.
Check that out on my YouTube channel, The Athlete Directive. But I made a video. I was literally just in the car and I had these random thoughts. And part of it is being comfortable while uncomfortable. It's finding the comfort in those uncomfortable situations. That's how we grow. And that's in every way, whether it's fitness, it's professionally, it's personally with our personal relationships, whatever it may be, we grow the most when we're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
We get pushed the most when we're uncomfortable. Because if you were just to stay comfortable all the time, you never think that you need to make any changes or you need to strive forward, right?
Yeah.
One of my really good friends struggles with that concept of, well, it's uncomfortable. It's like, change is not a comfortable thing.
Yeah.
Growth is not a comfortable thing. Pushing yourself is not a comfortable thing.
Right.
It's not something that people have an innate comfort with.
Yeah.
But it's learning to be comfortable in those uncomfortable situations.
And the moments that I've been the most uncomfortable, I have never felt so alive. Like in my life. Like on coming out the other end of it. Like when you're in the middle of it, it's like, it's sometimes it's the worst and you're grinding through whatever you're grinding through.
Yeah.
But when you come out on the other side, it's like how I relate to myself is completely different. It's like I relate to myself. Like I can accomplish anything in the world.
100%. There's definitely been times when I'm just like, I don't want to do this.
Right.
This sucks.
Yeah.
This is so far out of my comfort zone, and this is horrible.
Yeah.
And then you grudge through it,
Yeah.
and you trot through it, and you grind through it.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, oh my God, like I actually did that.
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah. And the funny part, like for me, is like, and it also doesn't matter sometimes, like if whether you like succeed or you don't.
Yeah.
You like when you're on the other end of it, you're like, wow, like I got so much out of that.
I did that.
Yeah.
It's mostly like I didn't think I could do that, and I did that.
Yeah.
You know, and it makes you feel really good because you're just like, cool. Okay, if I can like do that, like, what else can't I do?
Yeah. And it's like it's kind of like what's next.
What's next? You know. What's next for us is hopefully we'll get Theron on. Theron, if you're listening out there. But Ash, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
For sitting down and chatting with me. I hope that we can do this again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we could sit here for like hours and just like chat about stuff. Because there's so many things that are so applicable, right? Like you and I are from very different sports. We come from really different backgrounds. But I think that the one thing that we do have in common is striving to want to be better. And trying to find comfort in uncomfortable situations. Because you know that will make you better.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw in like a quick plug for a project that I'm doing.
Do it.
Called Beers That Make a Difference.
Yes.
Actually, and all it is actually just getting together with someone.
Yeah.
And just like buying them a beer and just sharing about your experience, about your life, and what like conversations like this actually like make available.
Amazing. So if you want to know more about this, if people out there want to know more about this, like how can they find you? Where can you find out about it?
Just through Facebook, Ashneel Singh on Facebook.
Cool.
And just if you ever have a beer with someone and it's just like an awesome conversation, just hashtag Beers That Make a Difference.
Amazing. That's
cool.
so awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for sitting down.
You're very welcome.
Let's do this again soon.
Okay.
All right, guys. Bye. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening. Now, I know that I said this podcast be uploaded every 2 weeks, which it will be. Please forgive me. I've just returned back from Europe. I went to a cousin's wedding in Germany and a small holiday in Italy. And I actually just attended another wedding yesterday. It's wedding season, I guess. Speaking of travel, my skin is usually pretty haggard from all the traveling, but what I have been using lately, and what keeps my skin so youthful, is keeping up with a skincare regime while I'm on the road. What have I been using, you ask? Well, my younger cousin, he's 19 years old, I don't think has ever raved about how smooth his skin was and how great it felt because he accidentally used my products in the bathroom one morning and proceeded to use it for the remainder of the trip. I've been using Athea Skincare. It's a skincare line that's made for athletes. It's natural, which is great. Makes my skin feel really balanced and really moisturized, and the things helps to keep the moisture in my skin and not dry it out. If you want to give it a try, I have a discount code that will save you 15%. The discount code is ATHIATJ01. Yes, it is a mouthful, but you'll save that shmoney. Also, have you not subscribed to the podcast yet? Come on, people. I do this because I want to be able to share interesting stories, sit down and talk with people that I know, people that work in the industry, fellow athletes, and just common people like you that we're talking about issues that are really prevalent, and I think that there's a lot of really interesting stories and a lot of really interesting things to share. So subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You can find us on Apple iTunes, Spotify podcasts, and Google Play, all searched under The Athlete's Wandering Couch. Until next time, I guess in 2 weeks, I'll be sitting down with my former teammate, Anastasia Welsh, and we'll be talking about probably one of the most personal things that I'll share to date. So until then, bye.